Hi, this is Lisbeth Stahl, Cottage Caboodle. I hope everything's going well with you, and I am going to try and get this feed up on my other device so I can see what you're saying. Let's see if the delay will let us do that. There's about a 20-second delay or so, and it looks like we're coming up, so that's really great. And I'm so excited to see you guys. A lot of you were wonderful and took my, well, you're all wonderful, but some of you were able to paint with me on Friday, and I sure enjoyed that. That was a lot of fun. We did the Carrot Patch Crew, and it was just a lot of fun. It's a great project in Easter, spring colors, you know, what could be bad? The sun was shining here. I'm seeing people come in. Hello, you guys. Hi, Joyce. Hi, Rochelle. Hi, Jane. Hi, Sachetta. I hope I'm saying that right. Belinda and Margot. Hello, Carol. It's good to see everybody popping in. I thought, what better time than a Sunday afternoon than to give this a shot and show you some of the stuff that I've been working on. And I've got a new pattern out and some little kits that are just fun for this springtime. And so I thought I would come through and show you. Also, there is a special going on, and I'm not sure that I'm supposed to tell you, but I'm going to tell you anyway. Doug from Pinecraft has a special going on. He was on the marketplace for the online convention this week, and he's running a special on the surfaces for my crew projects. And so I had to run a special promotion too. So if you don't have the Boo Crew and the Christmas Crew patterns, he's doing a special on the two surfaces, as well as the doodads and stuff. And then I'm doing a special on the patterns. So for the two e-packets for Boo Crew and Christmas Crew, for a limited time on my website, you can get them both for $10. So, and then he's running a special too. So I wanted to support him. He's supporting me. That's how it works. And I hope you were able to have a great time with the online convention. It sounded like a really great time and people were super busy with it. So I think that you had a lot of stuff going on. So it's great to see everybody coming in. And I see some people who were able to paint with me on Friday, or people who are in the class and hopefully you're maybe even painting right now. I don't know the project, but I wanted to share with you some stuff that I have coming out. And I had shared my little spring flower stuff. But before that, there's something even more important, and maybe most importantly. And hi, Sherry. I wanted to let you know that when you go on my website, there is, and I'm trying to get this fixed. We're getting some things fixed up on the website, so I'm really excited about that. But one of the things that's frustrating is shipping for all of us. For obvious reasons, it's really expensive. And but I want you to know, when you order a lot of little things on my website, you might get a shipping amount that says, like somebody this week had $72. Well, I am never, ever, ever going to charge you $72 for shipping. In fact, many of you have probably already gotten on different orders in the past, you've gotten something that says shipping overage and I've refunded you some money. As a rule, my pattern packets are $1.75 for shipping, which is pretty much the postage that I have to put on the envelope. Then if it goes to a certain amount, then I'll switch it over to a flat rate envelope, which is $8. If it doesn't fit in the flat rate envelope, I move up to a medium flat rate box, and then that's $15. And then if you order just a boatload of stuff, you're going to probably get charged $20 for the big flat rate box. If it's over $20, you and I have talked before or something, but if it charges you, say it charges you $40 for shipping, I am not going to charge you $40 for shipping. You're going to see something on your PayPal account that says you have been refunded some money, or I will put a little note on the packing slip that says I refunded this and the date I refunded it. So I don't want there to be any confusion, any question about shipping. That's just something I don't want you having to worry about. So it's so expensive, you guys. Oh my goodness. And it just kills me to have to mail to those of you that are in Canada, because you're really paying a lot. But I wanted to show you what we've got going on. So there's an e-packet for these little springtime things, and there's 2 parts to it. First, there's the springtime blocks, and let me switch my camera here so you can see. And these little guys are just super cute, and they're just little blocks. And if you are a woodcutter, you can always cut your own. These are just pieces of 2x4. These are ones that I cut first, and I wanted to use them on the tiered trays and things. And because I thought they were really cute with the dimensional flowers, because these are parts of, you know, just there's some little hearts and a circle, and 2 circles actually, and then they're glued on this little block. So, but when I put them on the tiered tray with that lip that comes up on the tiered tray, they didn't show very well. They were showing about like that. And so I made them a little bit longer this time. So these are actually 6-inch blocks instead of 4.5 to 5. And that way they will set up farther. And in the kit, if you order a kit for the blocks, you're going to get the block, and you're going to get these 3 little these little hearts. They're little heart shapes, a big circle and a little circle. And these circles are the ones that have the smooth edge on them. They're not a cut edge, they're actually rounded. And so they look really nice and finished. And so you'll get those in the block kits for $5. And then my favorite piece, oh my goodness, I just love these. And they are these little springtime flowers. And I just think they turned out so stinking cute. And on the back, I put little clothespins so that I could clip them to the edge of my spring tray. I could put them on an Easter basket. I could put them on a package as a bow. There's just a lot of choices that you could do with these. And if you saw me being silly on my website the other day, you even saw me putting them on my shirt and in my hair, and you know, just being goofy. But they are super cute. And the best part about all of these projects is these are projects that you could do with someone who's not a painter, who hasn't had that experience learning how to shade and float and do all of that stuff. So these are just really fun, quick and easy projects. They're also a great project to do with grandkids for just a fun day. And for the flower kit, it's going to come in this cute little bag. This one is just a little Easter bag, but when you unwrap this, it's going to have, well, first of all, you're going to get a whole card of gears. There are 32 gears on this card, and in order to preserve shipping, because this won't fit in anything, we decided that this was in a live a little while ago, that I'm going to do a karate chop on it. And what happens is I break it, not the gears, but just this part, so that you can I can put it in the envelope and you don't have to pay extra for shipping. So it will come to you like this in the little bag if you got this kind. We've also got some that Pinecraft has reconfigured so it will fit in the envelope. So you'll get one or the other, and these again are 32 gears. But see all these little pieces and parts? Well, those are also pieces and parts I used on the flowers. So like on this one, see those funny little shapes and the centers? Those are these funny little shapes right here and right here, and the little circles that come out of different parts. So there's not a lot of waste on this except for the background piece, and I suppose you smart people could probably figure out some great way to use them. But as you can see here, I sponge paint them, and that's how I base coat them, just because if you're if you take them out of here and then paint them, then you have that edge, and it's really hard to contend with. And this keeps it all nice and neat and tidy on the edge. You don't get a lot of slop over. So that's what you get. You get that card, plus you get this bag. And in the bag, there are 3 surfaces, and these are just little flower shapes. Then there's another bag in the bag. This is my while I'm watching TV activity, is to pack these bags. So I've got some glitter, and it doesn't look like much glitter, but it's more than enough to do 3 projects. It's probably enough to do about 10. You get some little sparkles, little crystals, so that you can spark them up a little bit. You get the 3 clips. You get 3 ladybugs, and they may be red or they may be plain. I just painted them so that they looked like bees. You could make them ladybugs or leave them just like this. Either way is fine. It's also got those little circles I talked about. I've got more than what you need actually here, probably. So you get 6 of the circles, you get 9 of the hearts, because each one of the flowers has 3 leaves on it. So you get 9, you get plenty to do that. You get a few of these little flowers so that you can incorporate those with the gears. And so you get a lot of things that you can just create with. In the pattern packet itself, you're not going to find line drawings. You're not going to find the things that you normally would in a pattern packet. But what you will find are the palettes that I used, and you will also find the method that I have used. Sometimes I just go, more often than not, I just go for it with my lettering. But if you're not comfortable with that, I've got a method for that in the packet too, how you can make your own lettering pattern. And if you have a word processing platform on your computer, then you'll be able to do that too. I'm going to check the comments here. They're not staying up on my computer, but I don't want to miss out. And before I go on, I wanted to see if there was any questions. Make sure that nobody's having questions. Oh, hello everybody. It's so good to see everybody. Okay, I just want to make sure that I don't have questions that are waiting out there. So I thought I would go through and just demonstrate a little bit what I do. This is one of the blocks that my father-in-law was kind enough to cut these for us, and this is some that's been repurposed. It's all smooth, even though it's got some discoloring on it, and I don't mind that. You likely won't have that on yours when you get it, but I don't mind. So that's why I'm using that. I'm going to shake this up. You can seal these. I would highly recommend that you seal them with multi-purpose sealer, or I'm going to show you my thing that I really like, which is the Decor Chalky Gesso. If you haven't used this, hi Joyce, hi Barbara, hello Susan. They are fun. They're cute, huh? So I like the Chalky Gesso, and the reason I like it is it's got really nice coverage, but it seals the wood at the same time it base coats it. Now I'm not going to be using, this is light gray, and I'm not going to be using that for the background of my block, but I can use it to seal, and especially when it's a piece of wood that's not exactly created for a painter, meaning it's not polished smooth, it's just a really fun kind of primitive block of wood, and you can see how nicely it covers. And when this dries, you can give it a light sanding, and it really fills in a lot of those little bumps and grain lines and everything. So I'm just going to give it a good coat of this and set it off to the side to let it dry. And usually I do all but one edge, because then I have a place for it to dry. But I'm doing this much neater, I'll have you know, than what I usually do it. But it really, it does a nice job. If you've never used it, it comes in several colors, and it's a combination that is, it has some of the best qualities of both, I believe. It has the best qualities of gesso, and it has the best qualities of like chalky paint, and it's just a really nice product, and it covers really, really well. The other thing is that right now DecoArt has a sale going on, believe it or not, as they're trying to get all the paint back in the stores and available to all of us. They they're having an overstock sale. So they've got some colors and things that they have like an excess of. So you can go over there, and I even saw some colors of chalky gesso over there for 50% off. That's a great deal. And so if you're in need of some of this, that's where I would go. But I love this product, and it's one of those things that if you're someone who, when you get a new piece of wood, you like to seal it. I know that's something in the past I've done, is seal it. It would be great to have a color that you don't always use for a background. So for me, that would be like white or one of these grays or something, even black. I do like black for a background, but you could use that chalky gesso as the background too. But this would seal it, and you would know then that your pieces were sealed if it had this color on it. So it dries fairly quickly, but it's of course not dry right now. So I'm going to run my little heat gun on it. I just have one of those little tools, you know, that a lot of people have, and you can get those on Amazon, but you have to keep them moving because they get really super warm. And one of the things that is really fun about these projects, while we're letting this dry, I'm going to hop over to talk a little bit about the flowers on these clip-on flowers. You can start putting together some ideas about how you want to put your flowers together, what pieces you want to use, you know, different, I don't know, just the different configurations, because there really is just a million different ways that you can put things together. So that's still drying. I also, you're probably wondering, this huge old yucky brush. This huge old yucky brush is just one of my workhorses. This is an Jasonia's oval wash brush, and if you've taken classes from me, you know about those, but I also love them for base coating as well as varnishing, as well as floating edges, as well as, oh my goodness, many, many, many things. So, but when I am looking for the things that I want to stack together, sometimes I'll just have these colored in different ways. Like this one, you can see I base coated, but I didn't use it the last time. But I'm going to start to stack some things together, and I can just pop them off of here. And again, you can base coat them with a sponge on here, but if you're doing what I'm doing, which is trying them out, you don't have to do that. You have to be kind of careful. The friends at Pinecraft, they put painter's tape on the back to keep all of your parts and pieces together. And you can keep them on there, or you don't have to, but I want to take some things out so that you can see what I mean when I am testing them. This is good tape, let me tell you. And in the packet, I put the colors that I use, but if you're in my Sparkle and Shine group, which is my subscription group, or if you've painted with me before, there's not going to be any real surprises on that list. But also, please, 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 you know, consider it a time where you can experiment and try different colors that maybe have been sitting in your painting supplies for a while and you haven't tried them. Now is the perfect time to try these. So I'm going to get another set off of here. And I don't have a plan at this point, but I'm just going to take some of these out here. And I know that I said you can paint some of these, and I didn't do that this time. So I'm going to take just some of them out. And but they come out pretty easily. Ooh. And then I usually put them in a little jar. I like to use these old-fashioned jars. My mom had a bunch and I have a bunch, and then I just put things in there so that I can keep track of them. I have them that are big jars that have lots of the same thing, and then I have jars like that one that are mishmash. But so if I take a few of those out, Oh, look, I just painted my towel too. Isn't that nice? I can take my flower and kind of do a test run. So if I want to do the center one first. So if I want to, I can try a big something, and then maybe I want to do a solid something next. Check that out and say, I don't know. Maybe I try something that has holes in it, knowing that the colors from underneath are going to show through. I could use that if I wanted, or I could use one of those for a solid, and then maybe one of these little guys up here. So you can really make this your very, very own. You don't have to follow the pattern necessarily. You can do whatever you like. So maybe I'll do that, or maybe I'll do with one of those flowers I got in my kit, something like that. I think I like that one. I'll put that on there, and then I want to have a couple of smaller flowers. So I'm going to use a small circle and a big circle, and I think I'll put this on there. I love those little ones with the holes. And then on this one, I'll do what I did on this little guy to show you. So I'm not going to use this big one. I could, but I'll show you how to do that one since that one's a little bit different. I put the little circle, I have the little circle, right? But I'm going to first put down some of these little wedges. And I think this one came with 3, it looks like. Nope, it had 4. And I might have lost one already, which is not surprising. But that's okay. For this, I'm just going to show you what I did. So I'm going to put down 3 of them because I can't find the 4th one right now. It's probably right here in front of my nose, but I don't see it right off. And so I'll put those down. Just, you know, this is my sample. This is my dry run. I'm not doing it. So I want it to be something like that. So it'll be little petals showing from underneath. So now I have my plan, and when I take my 3 hearts, I know these are going to be leaves. I can base coat all of this stuff and then put my little piece together. When I base coat it, you know, I just give it a couple of good coats. You can do it with a brush, or you can do it with a little sponge, and I like those little cosmetic sponges. But when you use the cosmetic sponges, one thing that I like to do too is if I've base coated, I've got a color on there, I can then take my scissors and cut off the painted area. Then I've got another clean spot on my sponge. So I don't have to use one sponge per color. I can use it and switch out the colors too. So now my blocks are probably pretty close to dry, so I'm going to do that end that I didn't get to paint. And it just gives this nice thick, nice finish. It just is nice for the other colors, and the other colors will cover a lot better when they've got this chalky gesso on there to kind of seal the wood. So there's one. And you don't want to let this soak or, you know, get dry in your brush, because it is nearly, you know, it's really hard to get out. I don't think it's impossible, but it's not fun to try and get that out of your brush once it's soaked in and dried. It's fine while it's wet, but not when it's dry. So I'm going to leave those there. They've got a good base coat. I'm going to close this up. Usually I don't use paint out of the jar, but I did this time. So when you've got these base coated, you can then add pattern to it on some of the leaves on the blocks. I put stripes on them. I just used 2 different colors of green. I believe on this one I used foliage green, and I used pistachio mint, and I used little Pigma pens, to just these little guys, to do some of the detail work. So I didn't use a liner brush, but you certainly could. So that's pretty much how I did this. On these ladybugs, if you put a little bit of either chalky gesso or you put a little bit of sealer and then paint, you'll be able to cover that red, but it will take a few coats for certain. A few coats is probably a minimum. You know, it's going to take a lot. So if I've done what I've done here, which is take all those little pieces and parts out, one of the things that I'll do is just take a piece of tape, turn it upside down so the sticky part's up, and then I run it around something. It could be my palette if I've got a whole lot. It could be just this little gal, this little post-it that I'm standing on my head to get it to stick. But I just put it down and then it kind of stays there. And then I can put my pieces on there, and that way when I base coat them, they don't move around. They're stuck. And so that's a great method to keep them down. Another thing that I've learned recently that I didn't know, but you smart people probably know this, is you can also use contact paper. Just clear contact paper, or if you found it on the clearance aisle, that would be great. And then you can put things together, you know, on the plastic, on the sticky side, and then put these pieces down, and then you can base coat them that way and they won't move. But for the bigger pieces, man, that's really convenient. But when I'm done with all of this and I've got everything base coated, and I even base coated my little clips and so forth, when I have everything base coated and I want to put them together after I've put patterns on things, for the most part on my little flowers, I use a combination of checks and stripes and dots. And while I'm planning this and thinking about it, if I've got dots on one layer, I'm not going to put dots on the next layer generally, or if I do, the dots are going to be different. They'll be bigger or smaller, or, you know, longer or shorter, or whatever the things are that I'm doing. It's going to be a little bit different than the one below it. So let me see. Oh, I'm glad you like the stuff for the sponges, the tips for the sponges. Yeah, and I'm not sure why my comments aren't sticking up, so I'm having to stop here to take a look, just so I don't miss. It's good to see everybody. Yep, you can double tape back on a scrap piece of wood. That will work too. You can also, you know, just anything. I have a piece of glass that I paint on and I use for a palette quite often, and I'll run the tape around that too. Just anything, and then the glass is easy to get the paint off of with just a little bit of a sharp edge of some sort. I have some single-sided razor blades that I use, and that is something that I use. But be careful if you do that. Of course, I have to say that, even though I know you're careful anyway. But if you're using a combination of the dots and the stripes and things, and it's just kind of a fun thing to do, and you can use your favorite colors. And again, in the pattern, I have all that listed in color families so that you can choose what you like. And I used some special glitters. Most of these are the glitter that you get in the kit, but I've used also some of the chunkier glitters, and these are some that have come out of like the extreme, the Galaxy glitter. But you could use Extreme Sheen, you could use some Enchanted products, you could use a lot of things in order to spark these up a little bit. So I did want to show you my little hints, tips, and tricks on plaid though while we're doing the blocks. So I've got these blocks done. They're not quite dry. That chalky gesso wants to take a little bit longer to dry because I think it's just thicker and stuff. But you could, you wouldn't have to do a plaid on the front. I know that there's a lot of patterns out that, or stencils out that do the block, oh my goodness. Why is it when you don't find your words, then you really don't find them for a while. But that plaid you can do not only with just a brush, but you can also do it with a stencil. And I know that there are several out there that have stencils. Lori Speltz has one. I really like her little one because it's just, it's a quarter sheet, and it's just nice for little things like this, and like the back of ornaments and or the background, either one. So I've got these fairly dry, and I don't have one this color, and for those of you who paint with me know my favorite color is periwinkle. I love that color. I think it's so pretty, and it is a great spring color, but I also think it's a great winter color. I just like it. So I'm going to use my same yucky brush that I haven't really cleaned out very much, and I'm going to put a coat of periwinkle on there. And periwinkle covers really well, but on that chalky gesso, you can see that it covers super well. Again, in the kits, your blocks aren't going to have chunks out of them and aren't going to be as primitive as these guys, but I like them when they're like this. I want them to look a little bit, you know, loved. That's what I meant. So, and you can just cover the whole thing. Isn't it fun watching someone base coat? But you do want to have these sealed. I think that these they soak up so much paint if you don't. And so I'm just going to give this a real quick little coat. Then I'm going to have to wait for it to dry. But you could, if you wanted, you could do the front could have a different pattern on it. It could have, it wouldn't have to have plaid. You could put the polka dot on the front. Maybe it was a tone-on-tone polka dot. Or maybe you have an all-over stencil that you think would look really nice, and you could use that. Something, I just wanted whimsical. So when I think whimsy, I think stripes and plaids and polka dots and that kind of stuff. So, and checks and things like that. So that's why I went to that. I'm just getting it all over my fingers. It's so much fun. I'm going to dry this real quick. These are a lot of fun. They're kind of addicting. Once you start doing those little dimensional flowers, they're really fun to do. They're a lot of fun, and they, you just want to keep doing them, I think. And you know, I just thought of something. You guys who are in my class for the Carrot Patch crew, you know, even putting on little bunnies would be cute on here, you know, like we did on our garlands. And you could have an Easter one that has a little garland of, or some of the little bunny garland characters. I can show you what I'm talking about. I'm going to give that just its, I don't have a lot of paint left in here, so I'm just really working it in. Somebody recently asked me how I base coat, and you are seeing it. If the only way I could really tell you when I base coat something to get it nice and smooth, if you think about how you put lotion on and you really work it in and you keep going over it and back and forth, I'm really doing the same thing with my paint. I don't usually have to battle like raised lines and stuff because I really rub that stuff in. So if we were using this kind of a configuration with the pieces that we used to do the class, let me grab one. How cute would it be to put down one of these guys, and you could still use the little hearts for the feet and a bunny tail, and then put it on your block, and you'd have a little bunny going over the fence or whatever. So you can do a lot of things with these blocks and stuff. So that would be a lot of fun. I might have to try that. But that was from our other class. So I guess that's a good point is, you know, when you're doing things, projects, and especially whimsical projects like this, don't be afraid. Oh, you have the exact block right in front of you. Oh, Julie, that's funny. You can't find periwinkle. I love periwinkle, but you know, country blue is really close, and so is Blue Harbor. So, but you can always, Joanne, that's funny. You can always, you know, change it up a little bit and, you know, use some other colors. And periwinkle is just something I can't make, and I'm picky about periwinkle. I want it to be more blue than purple. And if it's the right color periwinkle, if I have to go, is that blue or is that purple? That's my perfect shade of periwinkle. So this is pretty dry, not quite, and I really do want it dry. Now, if I wanted to distress this or something even more, I could sand the edges. I could do whatever I wanted on here to make it, you know, even more rustic or rough looking. But I think that's about right. And I see some areas that I didn't quite get perfect, but that's okay. You know, I picture this being something where when we can all get together again or be outside with friends and family, wouldn't this be a fun afternoon, you know, girls project or something, or boys project? It doesn't have to be just girls, but just to have a fun afternoon with, you know, some lemonade and lunch and just kind of have a crafty kind of a day. But when I'm doing plaid, the one thing that I always want to think about is, well, first of all, I'm going to be doing it with white just because that's what I did on all of the blocks. I want to think about how wide I want my plaid, and I want to use the brush that's going to help me to achieve that width of line or grid. So in this case, I'm using a 1/2 inch flat. And I've got the paint watered down more than I would if I were just using a liner brush to load a liner. But I want it to be kind of a medium wash. And when I do a plaid, I always go down the center first. I commit to my line and I just start pulling. And oh my goodness, I forgot about when paint isn't quite dry, I don't like my fingernail on it. It's kind of a nails on the chalkboard kind of a deal. So then I go to one side of it, of that center line, and pull it down, and then to the other side. And this is what, I mean, I learned from Rosemalling was when you're doing a grid or when you're doing a crosshatch or something, if you start in the middle, it will center your pattern. So for me, the most important thing when doing a plaid is to let each layer dry. So I want this first layer to dry before I start to apply my second layer. And the reason is that I want that second layer to really, you know how when you put a second wash on something, it deepens the color. It makes it look, it makes it darker. So you're not going to have the same tone. You're going to have a little bit deeper color. So that's what I want. So I'm still going to start in the center or about the center. I'm not measuring or anything like that. And I'm going to go across, and then I'm going to think about it being about the same all the way across. Now, some people might be concerned about everything being super straight. I'm not that concerned. I want it to look like somebody had fun making it. I'm just going to keep putting on, oh, I'm going to go over that one again because I kind of I didn't give the end as much attention as the beginning. So now I'll let that plaid dry, and because it's washy, it's a little bit uneven, and it's you know, it's just got that kind of country feel. It's not going to have that feel if you use a stencil, and that's okay. If you like that better and you like it to be perfect, then please use that. I just am not that fussy about stuff. But when I do a plaid, that's how I do it. Again, you could do swirls on here. You could do an all-over stencil or a stamp, whatever you like. It would be fun to see all the different things that could come of this. So once I get this all dry, I want to show you how I do lettering, and it'll just be a quick little dealie on lettering. But I'm not going to do the dots on the side. I used a large brush end. The other thing that I like to use, and you can see on here where I did use it, on a brand new pencil, or a fairly new pencil, at least one that you haven't used the eraser much, it's got a nice flat top, so it works great for large dots. So that's one of the things I do, but I use it when it's still real squared off and it's not, you know, it's not worn. So here's my plaid. Now, when I set up lettering, I don't care if it's necessarily straight, but I want it to look like it goes together. So what I mean by that is I don't want it all running this way and that way. If I have some that are up above the line and down below the line, I want them to be mismatched rather than look like they're out of place. So what I mean by that is I might not have made my plaid exactly straight, but my lettering, I'm going to think about that I'm going to put some flowers up here. So remember, I'm going to have the round circle, and I'm going to have the other round circle, and underneath it will be 3 hearts acting as the leaves. So when you're doing the lettering, you want to keep that in mind where you're going to put it, and you could put it off to the corner, you could put it off to the side. Maybe you've got some other little things. Maybe you want to take some of these little circles and make some just little flowers down the side. You know, you could do whatever you wanted on here, or berries, whatever. So I'm going to keep in mind that I want this off the side a little bit, and it's going to come down a ways. So I want to consider that when I'm doing my lettering. And generally when I'm doing lettering, I'm using a see-through ruler like this one, but I like my 2-inch. And it just gives me, what I really like about it is because it's 2 inches wide, I can see through and make sure that I'm squared. I have more real estate here to make sure that I know that I've got that squared off. So that's what I do. But what I want to do now is I think I'm going to do a line here, and then I'm going to go up. I want my lettering about 1.5 inches tall, and so I'm going to do 3 lines, and I'll explain why. So what I did here is I put 3 lines on here, and let me get the other one done. And think about how it is for a primary child's writing paper, how it has the 3 lines in it. So I have the attic, and I have the ground floor, and I have the basement. So I know that my lettering is going to go on there. And the reason I put that middle layer on there is because I want to have my midline of my lettering to go the same thickness, I guess, as my, I guess it's the height. I want it the same height as all the rest of them. They can go below a little bit, they can go above a little bit, and I'm okay with that. But I really want them to, if they're a little bit off, that's fine, but I want them all to go together as they look here. I don't want them going uphill unless I intend for them to go uphill. Okay, now I'm deciding on a color that I want to use, and I'm not really wanting to use black, but I don't know. Maybe I will use black, and that way you'll be able to see it better. So I'll get a little bit of lamp black, but I've got my white out because I'm going to want to use some of that to highlight and to make this lettering kind of pop. So in lettering, this is, if you've taken a class where I've talked about lettering, you can just sit back and eat a bonbon or something because you've heard it before. But what I think about when I'm doing lettering is I want it to have as much interest as my piece does. So my lettering will usually have a shade and or a highlight, or it will be shaded on the background or something, because I think the reason we don't like our lettering is because we don't put as much effort into it as we do the rest of our painting. So that's what I'm thinking. But so I can think about whether I want it to be script, whether I want it to be slanted, whether I want it to be, you know, printed or whatever. But I'm going to do on here, I'm going to do Hello Spring. So I'm going to do it printed. And so when I start, I'm going to start over here. I always start a little bit farther out to the edge than I think I'm going to need, because I know from experience that I run out of room really easy. And I'm not planning this out because it's small and I'm just going to go for it. The worst that can happen is I am going to have to go over this. But I can always find a little filler for extra room that I have left over. So I'm going to do this in just a regular print. I'm using number 2 choice detailer from Jasonia, and I like this because it's almost like one of the old ultra rounds from Low Cornell. It helps me to do a nice narrow line, as well as it helps me to do something that's very, very wide. I'm always pulling those letters toward me. I'm not pushing those letters, those strokes away. So I'm going to go back and start and pull over, and I'm going to start and pull this way. So I'm never, ever, ever going to be pushing that brush away from me. I can think about ways I want to embellish my lettering. And I have an idea for that. So I've got my little letters going across, and by this time I know I'm halfway done with my word, and I'm not going to have to squeeze or make those letters too narrow. Now, what I could do is take, because if you get the flower kit as well as one of these block kits, you're going to have a lot of gears left over that you're not going to necessarily need. So there's my lettering. But what I could do is with those gears, then I could, in this little spot, I could put a little flower. Or I could use, if I didn't use all of my little wooden flowers, I could put a little flower like that, and it would take up some more space on there. So I'm not too concerned about that. I could use just a little painted flower. I could do whatever I wanted. But I've got that black on there. And normally when I'm highlighting a letter, I do it when it's still wet, because I like the look of it. But in my dirty brush with black in it, I've just tipped off into some Snow White, and I'm going to go down almost to the cross. Boom. And I'm just trying to give it a little bit of interest, not a ton of, you know, help or anything. I just want it to have a little bit of a highlight here and there, and that will help it look like it was intentional. And this is the way I wanted my lettering, which is true. And it will just help it to pop a little bit. And this doesn't have to be fancy lettering. It doesn't have to be perfect lettering. But one thing that I do recommend, and that is when you're doing lettering, if at all possible, don't think about it as base coating it or filling it in. So what I mean is, if you are tracing a lettering style on your piece, use one line and make your brush work for you. And that is that will take your brain out of the fill-in mode and get you into a more stroke lettering type mode in my world. That's how I think of it anyway. So you want to make sure that you are stroking that lettering on and that you're not just simply filling it in. So when I say that, what I mean is there's a different mindset. There's a different mindset when you have lettering. So say you had an L like this, okay? And then it's got wider here and wider here and wider here. You get the idea, kind of like a ribbon. Then when I'm looking at it with both those side lines on there, I'm seeing it differently. I'm seeing that I have to fill that in. Whereas if I had one line like so, I could then take my flat liner or my flat brush, either a flattened liner or a narrow flat brush. I'm going to use my 8, which is not very narrow, but I want you to see what I'm talking about. So I'm going to keep my brush at a 45, but I'm still going to use that brush and it will fill it in without me base coating it. I'm really just, and this is paper, so it's not going to be a nice line, but you get the idea. I'm not filling it in, I'm stroking it on so that I don't end up with wows and whoopsies in my line. It's more, those lines are more parallel because I use the stroke of the brush. So that's my story on that. Now, because this is a little spring block, what I thought would be fun is to embellish it with just some little do for flowers, and that means they do for a flower. They're nothing fancy or anything, and I just use a small round brush, and this is one that I didn't wash out very well, looks like, feels like. I'm going to go into some of my white, my Snow White again, and for the embellishment part of it, because this says Hello Spring, I thought it would be cute to just put some little flowers. And I'm going to use little 5-petal flowers here and there in a very whimsical, kind of random fashion. I don't want them all to be, you know, in the very same place on the very same letter, that kind of stuff. I want them to be a little bit kind of a surprise, because I want this to look like, you know, it's whimsy, it wasn't planned, it's just for fun. And and I'm going to get my finger into one of them right away, because that's just the way I want to be. And I'm not going to put more than one on each unless I see something and I go, oh, you know what, I really want one there. Or I need it to, like, I've got 3 of them right here, and this is a big letter, so I'm going to put another one down here on the S just to kind of break up my pattern a little bit. And you know, if they're your rules, they're meant to be broken. You can make up your own as you go along your little exceptions to those rules. And I'm going to go down here just because, you know, probably most people would go at the top of the G. And then when I've got those done, I can put a little color in the center. The only thing I like better than periwinkle is periwinkle and yellow together. So I'm going to take a little bit of my yellow and I'm just going to dot the centers with the end of a brush. And then I might add a couple little stroke leaves here and there on these flowers when I'm done. I can also take when I go to do my inking, I can ink around these flowers and that will pop them forward a little bit more. But that's just one way that you could do the lettering. You wouldn't have to do it this way, but you certainly could. So there's my little guy, and even a little bunny face would be cute over here or something to take up that space. So when you're doing these, you get to have some fun with them. You get to do what you like. And you know, if lettering isn't fun for you, and I get it, because if we're not great at something, sometimes it's not fun to do something that we're not good at over and over and over, right? So I get that. That's just fine to not do the lettering if you don't like to do the lettering, but give it a try. The only way we get better at it is to practice. And these are the perfect little items to practice on. What's the worst that can happen? You paint over it or you sand off that, you know, bit of texture that's there and try it again. Or you live with it and say, you know, this isn't, tomorrow it's not going to look like I think it does now. So, but these are just fun little projects, and I hope that you, I can see them being part of an Easter egg dyeing little party or something like that. They'd be a lot of fun. And the packet is available on my website, as well as the little kits and things. And don't forget about the shipping. If you missed the beginning, because I know we have more people now, we have about double the people that we had at the beginning. Hello everyone, welcome. I was painting, so I didn't get to see everybody coming in. But at the beginning I talked about shipping, and shipping is something that on a website, I want to use flat rate boxes because it's better for both of us. When I say that, what I mean is it's insured right away, it's trackable, it's all taken care of for us, and we know exactly where it's at. And so I try and use flat rate envelopes and boxes whenever I can. So each thing though on my website has a shipping cost attached to it. Well, the website's not smart enough to know, well, this is all going to fit in a flat rate envelope, or this is all going to fit in a medium flat rate box. It has to just tally it up. So some poor people had $72 racked up in shipping on Friday, and bless their hearts, they didn't even question me about it. But some of you have probably in the past seen that I will say shipping overage and I will reduce it. But generally, as a rule of thumb from me, you're either going to have actual like stamps on, like for a packet or two, or you're going to have a flat rate envelope, which is $8. You're going to have a medium flat rate box, which is $15, or you're going to have the large flat rate box, which is $20, and that's if you buy a boatload of stuff. If it's over $20, you and I have already talked, and of course international shipping is a whole different situation, but this is US shipping that I'm talking about. So please know that if you get a bill on your, once you've gotten through and it says the shipping is something just horrible, know that I'm going to refund the shipping, because I'm just not doing that. I try not to inflate any of that. You pay enough as it is. So that's all I know about that whole thing. But I just want that to be really clear, because it's, you know, shipping is awful. It's just awful. So I think that's, oh, I do have something else. I have great news, and I'm probably letting the cat out of the bag early, but you know what? I don't care. And I'm sure they've been mad at me before down there at Pinecraft, but no, not really. But one of the things that Doug sent to me from Pinecraft with an order that I had is he wanted me to try out some stuff, and he says, I got some carbon paper, and I think it's something people are gonna like. And I'm like, oh, how do I tell the non-painter that carbon paper isn't the way to transfer a pattern? It's got wax in it, it's gonna smear, it's gonna make a mess. And I'm thinking, oh dear, how do I do this in a polite way? Well, after talking to him, it is the graphite paper that Stan Brown used to carry. And if you remember that graphite paper, it was the most wonderful graphite paper, because it really truly is graphite paper. It's artist graphite paper. So he will be carrying that, and he doesn't even know that I love it as much as I do right now, because I got the box yesterday and I didn't want to bother him, because I know he was working, but I try not to call him on the weekends. But he's going to have that, and he'll have it in a couple of different sizes, and he'll have the light and the dark. And so that is super good news, because you know, he's carrying something that we haven't been able to get a hold of in quite some time. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, next time you need graphite paper, give it a try, because I think you'll like it. What else is going on? I've got a program coming up on creative innovations in painting. I'm going to be talking about my Bright Spot program and what we did in Sparkle and Shine. And bright spots are just that. They're just something to brighten somebody's day when they're not expecting it, and it's a little painted something. There'll be kits, there'll be a fun little, you know, make it and take it kind of a idea coming soon to Creative Innovations. I believe it's on April 6th. I want to say it's the 6th, but I'm not positive. I should have looked it up before I got on live with you, but I didn't. And I think that's about it. I think that's all. So I'll probably get on and do some more on these little flowers and things, just because I think they're so fun, and then be looking for a couple of new patterns. If you weren't in the Sparkle and Shine group, there will be a couple of new patterns coming out towards like the second week of April or so, that we did in the Sparkle and Shine group, and they got to do them first. So again, if you're interested in the kits or the patterns, please go on over to my website. And if you're having problems on the website, please be patient, because there are people working on it, and it may be a little bit finicky or glitchy or something. But also know that that shipping thing, I don't want to make it worse. So it will be refunded to you. And if you've already ordered from me, like before I went live or earlier, yesterday or Friday, then you've already got your refunds, and double check and make sure, but you've already got your refunds. And I think everything is pretty much shipped, so you can be tracking it on your PayPal. I don't know, maybe you don't know that. On your PayPal, when you buy something and it's paid for on PayPal, if you go to your receipt on PayPal, you can hit the tracking on there, and it will tell you when it's expected at your door. And that's a really cool feature. And that's why I love those flat rate envelopes and those flat rate boxes, is because you and I both know the same thing then. We've got the same information, and it's all available to us. So, and the last thing is the online, oh gosh, I always forget this. The online market spot for crafters and creatives is having a sale this coming weekend. So don't, I'm not sure what my little fun thing is going to be, but I'll have a little fun thing going on, I'm sure. And I can't wait to see you there. So if you have any questions in the meantime, please give me, reach out, and I will be happy to get back with you. The best way to reach me is on Facebook, and I'm on the Messenger, because I see that a lot more than sometimes it takes me a day or two to catch up on my emails. So it's a great problem to have. Thank you so much. I think that's about it. So I hope you like this little ditty, and I hope that even if you don't have to buy the packets and the kits and all that, and even I hope that you have something that you can take forward and put into your painting, because that's what this is all about. I think that's it. I hope you all stay safe. I hope that the weather is starting to even out and get more and more spring-like and less crazy. And I hope that you just have a really great rest of your Sunday. So this is Lisbeth Stull from Cottage Caboodle. I'll see you soon.